Muy bienvenidos todos. Creo que somos más de 100 participando en este webinar. I am Frans Lettenström from Bentham Science. I'm the global licensing manager. I'm not really sure if I should continue in Spanish or in English, but together here we have the speaker, Dr. Gareth Dyke. He's a fairly well-known scientist, very high HC index. He's a paleontologist, and he has published in all the big journals like Nature, Science, and so on. And the organizer behind is the Professor Luis Sobrevilla, who is also well known, and will talk maybe at the end. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I will leave the floor to Gareth. Dejaré la pista o la escena a Gareth. Pero antes quiero mencionar que los miembros de esta organización tienen descuentos a la revista Current Vascular Pharmacy. So, and that is a 30% discount. Entonces, os dejo con Gareth y que sea una reunión agradable. Over to you, Gareth.
Thank you, Frans. It's great to have the chance to do this. Welcome, everybody, to our webinar presentation this evening. Here where I am in Hungary, in Budapest, it's just 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So thank you so much for joining us. And Frans, the Global Licensing Manager for Bentham Science, has introduced a little bit what we hope to be able to do this afternoon. I'm going to talk about peer review, how we can manage the peer review process as authors. Frans, if I can ask you quickly to just mute yourself on the system there, turn off your microphone on the top panel of the presentation platform. That's awesome. And everybody else, if you have questions throughout our session this afternoon, please feel free to drop them into the question box, and Luis, Frans, and I will run a Q&A session at the end of our time together today. So Gareth is my name. This is a presentation about managing the peer review process, how you can maximize the reach, the citations, and visibility of your research publications. And I prefer actually to call this session how you can survive the peer review process as an author. So we're delighted to be able to do this afternoon. We are presenting Bentham Science publishers, and we hope that this presentation will prove useful for all of our colleagues listening this afternoon, this evening. So if you have questions, as I mentioned already, please don't hesitate to put them into the question box down there on the right-hand side of your Webinar Jam panel. And don't worry, I'm speaking English. I'm sorry about that, but you will get a recording of this presentation. Everybody listening this afternoon, everybody registered for this presentation today will receive a link in the next few hours to a downloadable video of this presentation. If you'd like the slides, if you'd like to connect with us at any time, you can do so through Frans, through me. We'll give you our emails, our contact details at the end. So let's get started by talking just a little bit about Bentham Science. I won't talk for long. This is a company, a major international publisher of journals and ebooks, and I know that in particular our colleagues listening to this presentation will be interested in the journal Current Vascular Pharmacology. If you want to get access to that content, as Frans has mentioned, we will give you some information about discounts that you can get access to at the end of this presentation, both for your submissions to current vascular pharmacology and your APCs, your processing charges for that journal. So colleagues listening to this presentation can choose to get their work published faster, more effectively, and cheaper by looking at this journal. Bentham Science have lots of open access journals, lots of ebooks, lots of hybrid and traditional journals. I encourage you to have a look at eurekaselect.com, the Bentham Science Publishers platform, if you're interested in learning more about this company. I'm Gareth. I ask, Gareth Dyke is my name. I'm an academic with many years experience working, publishing and writing my own papers. I worked a number of years in Ireland, so that explains my accent to a certain extent. I also worked in the UK and in Hungary, where I now live. I'm an editor working with a number of different companies, and in particular working with journals published by Taylor and Francis. So I hope that in this presentation, from my own experience as an author and as a journal manager, learning about how to manage the peer review process, we'll be able to give you some tips and insights and tricks about the whole of the process. So get in touch with us if you've enjoyed this presentation, if you'd like to learn more, if we can provide you with additional training, editing services, or access to journals in the future. Gareth Dyke is my name, as I've already mentioned. So you're probably thinking, why am I sitting here listening to this English guy shouting at me this afternoon? We are going to talk about a number of issues in our presentation this afternoon. Peer review, what it is, how you can select peer reviewers effectively for your papers, how you can respond to the different decisions that come back from the peer review process, how you can respond effectively to them, and how you can manage rejection and appeals in the peer review process. This is the black box, I find, of the publishing process. Most authors have little idea often what happens to their papers when they submit their articles into journals. So we hope in this presentation that we can explain a little bit more information about what's going on in the peer review process, and in particular how you can manage the peer review process as an author to maximize your career, how you can manage that process to be more effective as a writing and publishing academic. So what is peer review, how we can select those peer reviewers, what the different decisions mean, and how we can respond effectively to peer review, and how we can manage rejection and appeal. So we'll begin by talking about peer review as a process. And I know you're probably thinking, this is all a bit basic. Why is he talking about this kind of thing? Well, it's important to go back over some of the basics of the peer review process so that you can understand it more effectively as an author and therefore manage the process more efficiently with your own papers. So let's talk a little bit about the basics of peer review. We often run polls in our webinars and we ask our authors, why do journals conduct peer review? And the number one response that comes back from colleagues listening to our training sessions, why do journals conduct peer review? People think it's so that they, as authors, can improve their papers. No. The main purpose of peer review in international journal publishing is in order to maintain the integrity of the process. Peer review is the process that all international journals that are reputable, that are listed, that you should be using as outlets for your academic papers. They use peer review to judge the quality of academic papers. These papers, peer-reviewed papers, are therefore thought to be reliable because they've undergone this process before publication. So you also get comments back on your work, of course. That's another byproduct, an important byproduct of the peer review process. But the main reason that journals use peer review is to ensure that articles are up to standard for publication. So let's talk a little bit about what the peer review process is. different forms that different journals, different publishing companies use, and how you can manage that process in your own submissions. Now, there are three main kinds of peer review that different journals, different publishing companies use. Completely open, which is quite rare. That's where you, the author, and the peer reviewers know about each other's identity. Not many journals use that process. Single blind, that's the most common kind of peer review that we encounter as authors. That's where the peer reviewers don't know your identity, and they know your identity. So the peer reviewers know who you are as an author, but you don't know who the peer reviewers are of your paper. So single blind, that's that process, and double blind becoming more and more common in international journals. That's where both you, the peer reviewer, and the author, you and the peer reviewer don't know each other's identity. Very popular, increasingly so, in countries, developing countries in particular, where authors often experience quite a lot of bias in the peer review process. They feel that it's better for reviewers not to know who they are, not to know their identity, so that they can, maintain that impartiality in the process. So completely open peer review, single blind peer review, and double blind are the main kinds of peer review that different journals use. And you might be asking yourself, why do peer reviewers maintain confidentiality? Why is that something that journals want their peer reviewers to have? Often it's important for reviewers to hide their identities because of the reactions that authors make to the process. Here you can see a real email that I got just the other day from an author. Dear editor, who reviewed my paper? I need to know. The comments I received were extremely unfair. Who wrote this about my work? Please write me back immediately. Journals around the world, international publishing companies feel that the process is better policed, more impartial if the reviewers in particular maintain confidentiality. Editors may offer this to reviewers to get more honest comments. Reviewers may want this often in order that they can be more honest about papers. And we find that often if review is too open, then it can be open to abuse. So the point of telling you this at the start of our webinar today is so that you can think about what's best for you, what's best for your next paper, what kind of peer review do you want to select for your next submission? Will it be single blind? Will it be double blind? What do you feel is best? So you can think about which target journals you're going to go to. Do they offer double blind? Is it possible for you to submit a paper that's blinded so that the reviewers won't know who your identity is? Important starting point. Let's consider the different kinds of peer review that are available to us as authors so that we can better manage the process. Then we think about who those peer reviewers are. These are, of course, people working in the same field. They've recently published on the same area. They may be selected by the editor, by the author, or by the online system. Something that's important to keep in mind as an author. Often editors are not subject area specialists, particularly. They're using your suggestions as authors. They're using online systems to select those peer reviewers. So keep that in mind. We'll come back to that a little bit later. How you can ensure that your papers go to reviewers who are going to be favorable or more favorable about your work. Reviewers are asked to critically comment on articles from an academic perspective, a scientific perspective, and they're asked by journals actually not to talk about the language. Please don't make comments about the English. We always ask peer reviewers, but of course they always do. One of the top comments that comes back from peer reviewers is often about the language quality, and so for this reason you may wish to get in touch with us at the end of this session, at the end of this presentation, to talk about how we can help you with English language editing services, for example. This is the #1 comment that's always made about papers. Editors then get back comments from the peer reviewers that they use to inform their decisions about your work. And it's also very important to keep in mind that reviewers very often are asked to make comments to editors that you will never know about. They are asked to make quite extensive comments on papers, often that are never communicated back to authors. A view goes back to the editor, not directly to the authors, and you will never know about that. These comments often inform editorial decisions. So what you get back from the journal is often not everything that the editor has gotten to see. First thing to keep in mind, you may not see all of the information that the editor has received from the peer reviewers about your paper. Second thing to keep in mind is that peer reviewers very often, we all know this as authors, actually, they very often come at this process with a negative mindset. They think, where are the issues with this paper? How can I find the problems with this piece of work? You've done it. I've done it. When we get papers to review as academics, we tend to think, how can I find the issues with this paper? How can I find ways to kill this paper? And that's not what you should be doing as a constructive peer reviewer. Later, in our presentation today, I'm going to talk about how you can be constructive, how you can be positive, and how you can use the peer review process when you do it as a peer reviewer to actually enhance your career. So we've talked about the peer review process. We've talked about the different kinds of peer review that journals use, and we've talked about the kinds of things to keep in mind when you send your paper into a journal for peer review. Let's now talk about how you can select peer reviewers for your papers. One of the most common questions that we get asked in our training, in our webinars around the world, people ask, I'm submitting a paper. How am I going to make sure that I select appropriate colleagues to act as peer reviewers? Well, this is done most efficiently by making sure that you do have, and that you maintain that international network. Everybody has an international mentorship network. Of course, we all talk to different colleagues around the world all the time. We may not, though, be using that network to its best advantage when it comes to putting together comments in those cover letters, in those submissions to journals, to make sure that we get those colleagues who are going to review our papers suggested to journals.